Now we move to talk about the final topic in this chapter, actually, which is GDP versus real GDP. What is the difference between GDP and real GDP? GDP is the measure of output at current prices. So GDP is the measure of output at current prices. While real GDP is the value of output or the value of production at constant prices. Real GDP is the value of output at constant prices. Well, to see why real GDP give us a meaningful measure of the health of the economy, let us give a simple example about a small economy, a tiny economy that produces one good, and see why GDP, the calculation of GDP, varies because of a change in prices, or because a change in quantity, or because of a change in both the price and the quantity. Let's give this small example here. Say, for instance, a small economy produces, let's say, 100 units of good X. Each unit of good X sells for $1 per unit. So GDP in a tiny economy, the calculation or the computation of GDP is very simple. All we have to do is just multiply the price times the quantity. So we say GDP here in this tiny economy that it produces one good X, all we have to multiply $1, the price per unit, times 100 units that the economy is producing. So 1 times 100, and we get $100. This is the value of GDP. Now, what if the GDP rises to 150? Say GDP rises to 150. So this increase in GDP could be due to a change in prices. So GDP equal 150 is equal, for instance, 100 times $1.50. So what happens here? We come up with 150. Okay? So now what happens? Output is the same. However, the price per unit has increased to $1.50. Therefore, now this will give us an output, a value of GDP equal to 150. This also 150, the increase in the GDP, could be because of the increase in output. Could be because of the increase in output. For instance, GDP, this is due to an increase in prices, or could be due to an increase in output. GDP is equal 150, could be equal 150 times 1. We come up with 150. So this increase in GDP is due to an increase in output. Or the increase in GDP could be because of the increase in both the output and the price per output. So GDP equal 150 is equal, let's say, 115. So we could say it's 1.3 times 115.3. We come up with 150. So what we see here, of course, if we multiply both, we see that we come up with 150. This is the value of GDP. And here, you know, the increase in GDP to 150 is due to an increase in the price as well as an increase in the output. So as you can see here, this is due to an increase in output and the price. Now, as you can see here, that the increase in output can be due to either the increase in prices or the increase in output or the increase in both. So now, this, of course, won't give us a meaningful measure of how the economy is performing. So to gauge the health of the economy, of course, we have to focus upon, or we have to come up with a meaningful measure. This meaningful measure is real GDP. The real GDP only talks about the value of output at constant prices. That is, in real GDP, we only look at the increase in output rather than the increase in prices. So let us look at real GDP. So we said here that when the economy is changing because of a change in prices, then the economy is not growing at all. However, when the economy is changing because of the increase in the quantity produced, then the economy is growing. So real GDP actually talks about this. So let's look at real GDP. So real GDP, as I said, it is the measure of output at constant prices. So to calculate the value of output at different prices, or at different years, all we have to do, we multiply the value of output in different years by the price in the base year. So let's give an example to see how real GDP is calculated. Say that, for instance, consider the following example. Of a tiny economy that produces one good. Let's go to year 2010, 2015, 2020. Here, look at the, let's say, prices. 10, 12, 15. Of course, per unit. Quantity produced. Of course, I'm talking about one good, let's say X. 100, 115, 130. Okay? Now, GDP. GDP, of course, all to calculate GDP, multiply the price in 2010. To calculate GDP in 2010, all we have to do, multiply the price in 2010 times the quantity in 2010. So we come up 10 times 100, we come up with 1,000. This is real GDP in what? This is GDP in the year 2010. What about GDP in the year 2015? All I have to do, multiply the price in 2015 times the quantity in 2015, and we come up here, of course, we get here 12 times 115, 1380. We come up with 1380. Now, what about GDP in the year 2020? All we have to do, multiply the prices in 2020 times the quantity in 2020. So GDP is the measure of output at current prices. Okay? So we get 15 times 130, and we come up with 1950. Now, what about real GDP? Real GDP all we have to do to find real GDP for the year 2000. Now, real GDP is the measure of output at constant prices. Say we assume that the year 2010, this one is the base year. This is the base year. So, year 2010 is base year. So what I do here, I multiply the quantity in 2010 times the price in the base year, which is 2010 times 10. So as you can see, real GDP in the year 2010 is the same as the nominal GDP, or the same as GDP in 2010. So we get here 10 times 100, we come up with 1000. Clear? Now, to find real GDP in the 2015, what I do, I just multiply the quantity in 2015 times the price in the base year, which is 10, which is the price in 2010, which is 10. So 115 times 10, okay, I'll come up with real GDP in the year 2015. So I get here 10 times 115, I get, of course, 11,150. This is real GDP in the year 2015. What about real GDP in the year 2020? All I have to do, I multiply the quantity in 2020 times the price in 2010, because we said that 2010 is the base year. Therefore, we have to multiply the quantity in any year times the price in the base year. So 130 times 10. So here, 10 times 130, we come up with 1300. So as you can see, now the real GDP is calculated this way. Okay? Now you can see that the values of real GDP here, of course, they only take into consideration the change in output. So the prices have been fixed. Okay, this is the value of output adjusted for any change in prices. So here, as you can see, if we come up with the percentage change of real GDP between this year and this year and this year and this year, we come up with the percentage change is much less than the percent change here. Okay, the percent change in real GDP is less than the percent change in GDP, because here, of course, the output, take into consideration, or the value of GDP, the value of real GDP only take into consideration the change in output rather than the change in the prices. Now, here, of course, after calculating the real GDP and GDP, now we talk about two important concepts that have to do with real GDP. The first concept is economic growth, and the second concept is business cycle. So let's talk about these two important concepts that have to do with real GDP. Two important concepts that have to do with real GDP. First is economic growth. Economic growth. And the second one is business cycle. Now, economic growth is the percentage change in real GDP. Is the percentage change in real GDP. We will have economic growth when the percentage change between any two real GDP is positive. So we can have economic growth whenever the real GDP in 1 year is higher than the real GDP in the previous year. So economic growth is equal real GDP next minus real GDP before over real GDP before. For instance, say in year 1, real GDP is equal 100 billion dollars. In year 2 is equal, in year 2, real GDP is equal 120 billion dollars. So economic growth is equal the percentage change between the price, between the real GDP, between these two. So we say real GDP in year 2, which is 120 minus 100 over 100 times 100. And we come up with the 20%. So here we say that since the economic growth is positive, then we have a growth in the economy. That is, more output or more goods and services are produced. So the economic growth now is 20%. It is positive. Therefore, the economy is experiencing a growth. Now, what about business cycle? Let's look at the business cycle. A business cycle is the ups and downs. Business cycle. A business cycle is ups and downs in the economic activity. So let's illustrate that graphically. Okay. Of course, we put time over here. And we put real GDP here, real GDP along the vertical axis. Okay. And we put time along the horizontal axis. So let's say this one here. This is a kind of a business cycle. Any business cycle consists of 4 phases. Any business cycle consists of 4 phases, namely peak, contraction, trough, and expansion. Now, let's illustrate these or label these phases along this business cycle. As you can see, a business cycle is usually measured from peak to peak. This is a peak. This is a peak, which is a high point, a high point in the business cycle. Okay, this is also another peak. So a business cycle is measured from peak to peak. This is here business cycle. This is a business cycle from peak to peak. Now, any business cycle consists of these 4 phases. So we have here, when real GDP is declining, it's called contraction from here to here. This contraction. Or recession. This low point here is a trough. From here all the way, the increase in real GDP is called expansion. Okay, this one here is expansion. So we have here, of course, all of it from here to here is contraction. This is the trough, the low point in the business cycle. And then when the real GDP is increasing, it's called expansion. The high point is called peak. Okay, and the business cycle is from peak to peak. It consists of 4 phases, namely peak, contraction, trough, and expansion. When the economy is experiencing a contraction, that implies we'll have higher unemployment. And when the economy is experiencing expansion, okay, or a boom, then we're going to have lower unemployment.